lanes is going to be the Talia into that lane, so we're not going to see a particularly explosive mid lane, and this is much more about who can use their utility ultis better.
Yeah, who can play the map a lot better. Here's a pick that I'm shocked we even ended up getting through back to blue side. Jace has been really high prio ban champion, alongside like the Skarners, the Gwens, the Ambessas, the Rumbles, the Varuses you're seeing. So I really feel like you just want to slam Jace if you get it, but instead, ThunderTalk are going to pick up the Misfortune, which makes 1xN pretty one-dimensional in this one. And you're looking to, whenever you lock in MF, Bloxer, it's one thing, right? How can we get the most value out of bullet time? Because if you don't get any value out of it, why are you picking Misfortune?
It's a wombo combo composition from ThunderTalk. Now, this is their bread and butter. This is what we've been talking about in terms of the kind of comps that they love. I do prefer 1xN with a little bit more mobility, something he can actually move around in teamfights on, but we keep seeing him on the Ashe at the moment, and that's no different to the Misfortune. So I don't mind it, and it works very well alongside the Talia and the Skarner. I think these two champions work very well in combination, but it's going to be interesting to see what the support is that gets paired alongside it. The Rel also works very well as a combo, so can the Alistar. See if AL decide to take those away. Also, picking MF into a composition that you can already see a Neferi in is a risk, just straight up, because the Neferi will love that as a potential option to go for.
Neferi is salivating at the idea of just being able to dash onto a Misfortune. You don't... So, I'm just... The alarm bells, we're going to talk about multiple times, that this could just be a Tarzan masterclass, the way he can run with this Neferi, one of the most overpowered champions. But let's see how the rest of these compositions do end up coming together, because AL did not take the approach maybe you were looking for here, Bloxer. Instead of targeting Feathers Champ Pool, they're going to try and punish Hoya, which has been shown to be the way to beat ThunderTalk down early, take away Hoya's comfort champions, and keep him out of the lane. But that is an intriguing prospect to do into Sion, knowing that Flandre also is not really going to be playing for lane.
No, Flandre had a great performance on the Sion in the previous game, so I can understand why you would want to return him to it. At the same time, though, it's not going to have that same level of lane priority, or at least it shouldn't. I guess if Flandre does manage to make Sion look like a Gwen, crown him as the best top laner I've ever seen, but very unlikely to actually see that one come through. AL, currently, they're hovering on towards their bot lane. They still need both their ADC and their support. Plenty of the strongest ones are still available, and they're going to grab the Kai'Sa, so this composition is going to be looking to dive in. Hope going to be joining up right here with Tarzan into the backline, and this makes it even harder to play this one out as 1xN. He had a great game previously, but does he live? Does he get to hit a single bullet time in this game?
No, he doesn't. 1xN, man.
Good luck, buddy.
Yo. Let's start prepping for the Ultra Prime game, man, because you can go on autopilot. I don't know what you can do to even I don't know what you can do to really impact this game state. They're gonna give him the Alistar to buy some peel. I mean, Talia does play pretty well into champions trying to dash through those slip ring stones, but it is a rough angle for this Misfortune. Hoya hovering some of his duelist champions. Yeah. The Camille was really famous in Split 1 for solo killing Bin himself on it. So Hoya, knowing the Sion matchup, is going to play to win lane. This is something that ThunderTalk rarely, if ever, do.
Yeah, they're very much about trying to play for the all-in team fights, and so prefer to have tankier champions up in the top lane, or at least more bruiser styles that can get involved in these fights, buy a little bit of extra space for 1xN and SeTab to be able to do their thing. Instead, you're looking to really play through this top side because this Misfortune cannot be relied upon to be that big AD damage. You needed something else to be able to try to play around. And I don't think the Camille's a particularly bad option in this game. It's just such a wild draft. To be honest, out of both of these teams, this is not the standard League of Legends that we've been seeing, but to be fair, both AL and ThunderTalk are top tier when it comes to picking weird stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we already showed an intriguing graphic about AL. That very graphic also showed the weirdest ThunderTalk draft with the Akali top and the Ambessa mid. So we'll have to take all this with a grain of salt, knowing that these teams are cooking up something that we're still trying to understand. But looking at these two drafts, Bloxer, what are the objectives for either side to really find a win here, in your opinion?
So it's very one-dimensional right here out of ThunderTalk. The only wrinkle to this just being a straight-up find that Misfortune ulti composition is how hard can you win lane right here in the top side on this Camille.
Yes.
If you can completely take over the game against this Scion and then become a side lane threat to end all side lane threats, and it's going to have to be a mega performance right here out of Hoya to be able to do that, then all of a sudden your composition doesn't seem quite so one-dimensional. Otherwise, Misfortune, hit the ulti. 1xn, you're the man, show it to us. Prove why everybody has so much faith in you. It's a lot more of a diverse composition right here out of AL. You can reposition yourself a lot through this ulti with the Rise. You can try to just front to back a little bit because you've got a Scion and a Nautilus. But I think what AL are actually going to want to do is Flandre and Hope are going to go flying into the backline with their ultis, with everything that they've got in their kit, and just try to make pain for 1xn.
I think Tarzan has the MVP-like performance in his sights. We saw last game for AL on stage, he was shutting Junhao out of his own jungle on Poppy. And now he's playing arguably the most overtuned champion in the game, especially for the jungle, on this Naafiri. Tarzan, the spirit of anyone's legend, as they look to get back to winning ways atop Group B. No better spot than this game.
No, AL are already going to be disappointed in their group stage performance, dropping that single game here to RNG. They're not going to be looking for a repeat performance of that one. Instead, they're going to look to crush ThunderTalk. Both of these teams, though, coming off of incredibly dominant wins in game number 1 of today. But this is going to be the biggest task for them yet. And ThunderTalk, they have drafted themselves a very them composition, all about the team fight, all about getting themselves into a good enough spot in team fights so they can just use their extra aggression and prowess over their opponents. Now, in the first ThunderTalk game, we saw the Skarner not picked, not banned. That's not happened before at all this year in the LPL. This game, Beichuan does get it, and the Skarner is so strong, there's a reason that it's been on the ban table as much as it has.
And it feeds right into how Beichuan is the tip of the spearhead flying through for ThunderTalk. It is his first stage game on this Skarner. So we'll have to see what he brings to the table with that very pivotal champion, like you pointed out. Both junglers are going to be starting for top-down clears, looking to move towards this bottom lane, but I'm expecting anything but standard clear here from Tarzan. If he's going to approach this game the same way he did against Ultra Prime, might just try and race and cut off access to Beichuan's camps, knowing that this Naafiri is just unmatched in a jungle 1v1.
Oh yeah, and I mean, Skarner usually wouldn't be any slouch, but the Naafiri just does ridiculous amounts, especially with the Conqueror right now, going to make it that much easier to be able to chunk through Beichuan's health in one of those extended fights that the Skarner would usually love so much. For the minute, they are just going to be moving towards opposite sides, and the Skarner does have an incredibly quick clear. You can see already well on his way to having cleared out these chickens, as Tarzan already trying to keep himself up. At the same time, it's not going to be too much of a worry to fall behind in terms of just pure clear speed versus this Skarner, because you're not so much focused on these ganks. Tarzan more going to be looking to sit in his jungle, farm himself up to a first item, and that's when you're looking to go in on this Naafiri.
Yeah, the solo lanes for anyone's legend this time around are really about playing a patient game with the Rise. Oh, Beichuan, that's going to disappoint some of the clear speed 80% speedrun junglers that we know in League of Legends.
He's messed that up, and he's still way
still ahead. Yeah.
It's insane just how fast this Skarner can clear. It's such a strong pickup, even with the nerfs that we've seen for it. It's come down from the highs of getting banned, what was it, 82 times in a row? Not getting seen a single time up until playoffs, to at least, you know, occasionally people let it through. But still, they are now going to scrap a little bit around the bottom lane Scuttle Crab. Beichuan getting jumped.
Yeah, Tarzan wants this fight here. Beichuan just doesn't have the damage to really answer. Who is going to find the Kael first? It's Feather flying with a headbutt. Kael does land the dredge line on a Beichuan. What makes sense here? Here comes Hope as well, but Beichuan's going to fall. It's the Dow getting the first blood for Tarzan. Mid laner's trying to join the fray, but it's just Tarzan finding so much value. Good seismic shove from SeTab to find a trade, but Hope has the lethal tempo stack. The plasma stacks. 1xn has nowhere to turn. No flash out, so he's just going to go for blow. Makes it another trade. Trades galore. It's like we're on the stage. We're at the NASDAQ right now, trading kills like stocks. 3-3 at the end of the day.
My lord. Skarner no flash. Talia no flash. Misfortune no flash. Alistair no flash. Same thing over on the other side. Only the top laners have flash in their pockets at this point. Everybody using every available tool in that bot lane matchup. And we're going to watch it back through. As you said, this is exactly what Tarzan wants to do. He wins this 1v1, even when getting stunned into the wall. And neither of these junglers have the smite. So the fight over the Scuttle Crab is fake. It's not actually a fight over the Scuttle Crab. It's an excuse to brawl each other. But it's the way that 1xN and Feather get here first. The Feather flashing in at the beginning of this fight. Obviously it doesn't land because the Neferi just has the invulnerability, the untargetable. So it's a bit of an interesting decision. Still, 1xN makes the most of this one, gets that final auto off to be able to pick up that kill, and then these two also gonna just use the last flash. His SeTab just about managing to avoid out from that W, otherwise that would have been one dead Talia. But looking at the winners and losers out of this one, you get 2 kills onto 1xN, 1 kill onto SeTab. Both ADs getting 2 kills, but also Tarzan picks up a kill. So it is going to be a little bit of an advantage, I'd say, to AL. You want to have that Neferi getting ahead.
The small win for ThunderTalk is they did get the third kill first by a matter of mere autos. So they do have feats of warfare. I know and everybody's kind of cooled off on those boot upgrades, but it's the small margins that you need to win if you are ThunderTalk, the underdog of this matchup against anyone's Legend, especially knowing how quickly their last matchup went down. And part of that was this very part of the map. Flandre running Hoya, and his Scion doesn't look like a weak side Scion right about now. He's going to spoon feed Tarzan a kill. Perfect prediction on the hook shot. And oh boy, the pack is getting hungry.
Yeah, second kill going over to Tarzan right here. This is also going to be a massive minion wave pushed in right here underneath the tower. And Hoya had only just teleported back into this bottom lane, so this is a devastating play right now. And we talked about how Hoya decided to go for his more aggressive pickup was a big risk. If you get yourself a big advantage, then wonderful. Camille from behind sucks. There's no two ways about it. Camille from behind is not going to give you anything. And even if you put a Scion behind in this matchup, I don't know how much that actually gives to you. With this sort of wombo combo composition that was already being picked up for ThunderTalk, it just leaves me with so many questions as to whether or not a more standard top laner would have been good. Even something like the Ornn.
Look at AL right now. They're just moving around the map so much better than ThunderTalk. Once again, it's a complete jungle section cut away from TT, just like Ultra Prime a game before. SeTab barely survives the first skirmish. Hoya's so underdeveloped at this point that he's having a hookshot back towards the turret and sacrifice his support. Feather falls, and Hoya just now being able to pick up a couple of these minions, but here's a realm warp forward. Shanks taking a page out of SeTab himself, trying to force this dive onto Hoya. Does have the Hextech ultimatum though, and that makes any dive a bit more scary, but it's AL still scaling up for dominance with their map play.
Yeah, they are running the map at the moment. 1k the gold lead for themselves. They're also able to pick themselves up an early Drake. The grubs did go over to ThunderTalk, so that is something, and they would love to have all of these grubs. If you can get a ton of grubs onto a side lane Camille, that would help. That would be something for them to potentially try to play around. But you can see it in all of the graphics being pulled up at the moment. They're just behind in pretty much every lane, every situation right now are ThunderTalk.
And this is what we expected out of anyone's Legend. Remember, both of these teams ended the first round robin with a sour taste in their mouth. The RNG upset, ThunderTalk dropping 1-2, dropping a game to Ultra Prime. We flashed the graphic up. Ultra Prime, they finished in the teens in so many LPL splits. But there's just a difference right now, even if TT were the Giant Slayers of BLG in the regular season, between AL and ThunderTalk, and it's showing, at least in this early phase.
Yeah, so far, AL most definitely running this matchup. And we'll see what ThunderTalk are going to be able to do to get themselves back into this. Because the thing is, with this kind of composition, with these wombo combo misfortune comps, you just have to get that perfect fight once, where all the setup actually hits, lands, and you're able to get that full bullet time off onto your opponents. It's a great way to be able to get your team back into this game, but the setup can be incredibly tricky, and beginning to fall behind at this point means that you're not going to be ahead in terms of damage. You're not going to be able to just cut through people with the ulti straight up. Hoya, he's under his tower. I don't know that that saves him, potentially. Okay, Tarzan not going to go for it. Doesn't want to potentially give over a kill. I want to die, but still, Hoya, he's just taking so much damage in this matchup right now. You pick the Camille to try to do something into the Scion. It's tricky anyway. It's just not happening.
It just sucks. This is the matchup that has been the most one-sided between these two teams. And yeah, sure, you could have like kind of waved off the last time Flandre dominated Hoya, be saying like, oh, he got the Gwen, right? Gwen is so overtuned. Yeah. This is Sion into Camille. This isn't even the same ballpark as their last matchup, but it's still Flandre finding success here. Beichuan, though, looking to find angles on other sides of the map, going after Shanks. Does have the Impale, was waiting for the flash. Shanks is going to flash away from the turret. I love this wall from SeTab, though. Shanks has no way to escape. That's the proactivity TT showed in their win over Ultra Prime as they find a critical kill.
I like that play so much between SeTab and Beichuan. That's what you need to do between these two. Get yourselves a couple of kills early. And Beichuan, especially, using the Impale straight towards the tower, pretty much only giving Shanks one potential out. And just gets cut off with that Weaver's Wall from SeTab. It's something. It's another kill, and it does go over to the key member. SeTab is going to be a big part of the damage profile of ThunderTalk. If he falls behind these tanky champions, Flandre specifically, is going to become almost unkillable. He needs that threat of magic damage coming through, otherwise there's nothing you can do about him.
First item breakpoints. Good point. Time as any to talk about them. Hope with those 3 kills after his MVP Deathless Varus performance, 3-0. Already has the Kraken Slayer done, signaling he's going to be playing that sort of AD-centric basis Kaisa build, looking to burn through this Skarner's health bar, this Alistar's health bar. We might have a fight before we talk more about these items. Kael lands a Dredge Line on a Feather, uses the Dredge Line on to 1xN, so the depth charge is down. 1xN wants an ankle to use that bullet time, but he's got the pack on top of him. Tarzan going to disengage for the time being as Beichuan does get the Ignite thrown over him. SeTab flashing with the seismic shove. In goes Hoya, the underfed Camille trying to set up the rest of his team, but down goes Feather first. Shanks is able to survive. Kael, all these low health bars making no difference, but it's Hope flying in with the killer instinct on his mind to once again run a fight for anyone's legend. SeTab has to fly out. It's a multi-kill play for Hope, and maybe even more as Tarzan gobbles down one final kill. SeTab, that turret will not save you. It's a full moon. The pack is hunting. Here comes Tarzan, and the Nefiri once again claiming more blood on Summoner's Rift in the LPL.
It's a disaster of a fight right there for ThunderTalk. They think they can re-engage onto this one, but like you said, underfed Camille doesn't manage to even land the hook shot and just has to jump in with the ulti. It doesn't work out right here, and ThunderTalk, they lose so much off the back of that. At least because we're early on into the game, the respawn timers are quick. Beichuans are able to get here and actually is going to be able to pick up all 6 of the grubs. It's something. It's not a lot, but it is something as... Why is
Tell me
my question on the re-engage.
When can 1xN ult in this fight? That's my question for you, Bloxer.
At no point. He's getting chased around constantly. I wasn't even sure that Tarzan was going to survive through this one. I knew that he still had himself the invulnerability, but still, he dove in very far. This, though, is a mistake, right? When you ulti on the Camille, you push everybody else out, which usually would be a good thing, but it just buys the space that AL desperately needed in that team fight.
Oh, boy. Oh, Kael?
Wait,
nope, can't knock SeTab off the wall.
I think he was trying to get the... that.
I think Kael was hoping like he'd get the auto attack through still, so he roots him off of the wall, but SeTab will end up surviving. But it's anyone's legend with a ton more tempo in their hands right now. They've got the gold behind them. They've got Flandre, who is once again looking to be unkillable, and a Kaisa that will do all of the killing here. I am worried about this dive, and it's 1 versus 3. 1 versus 4.
4. 5.
Everybody wants Flandre right now. All right, let's see how long he can survive.
Work.
Flashes out of the first one. All right, but the Sunlock lands. I mean, they brought the entire squad. Everyone's here to pack out Flandre. So you got the kill, but at what cost, Bloxer?
Wait.
Oh, that was so
If
so
he gets
treacherous.
that kill there, if you get a 1v5 return kill, that would have been insane in that
But look at the rest of the map right now. I mean,
yeah, they're losing out massively for this one. They're going to lose a bot lane tier 1. They're going to lose a ton of damage off of this mid lane. I don't know quite that Hope's going to be able to fully pick this one up, and all you're returning it for is 1 tower. And yeah, you do take it a lot quicker, but still, even despite having all 6 grubs, ThunderTalk are going to miss out on having that first tower blood. Really unfortunate for them in the way that this game has panned out.
I do think 6 grubs, though, is going to limit a lot of the snowball potential for anyone's legends, right? Because they just don't they don't even have the Void Touch passive on these turrets.
Yeah.
It's going to limit a lot of their ability to knock down mid-tier 1 and top-tier 1. Misfortune is one of those champions that is relatively safe trying to catch waves, especially into a Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
And with Flash coming up soon, it's going to be hard for them to break open. So my question becomes, for you, Bloxer, how do Anyone's Legends break open the map? And maybe I don't even have to ask you, because we're once again seeing an aggressive Realm Warp. This is the new Rise.
There we go.
I think Bloxer's liking it.
I am indeed. That's exactly what I want to be seeing right here from Shanks. Not too surprised to be seeing him playing out a very competent Rise game at the minute. And yeah, you're asking how we crack open the game? Well, let's use the Realm Warp to go get ourselves picks at the moment. The re-engage on teamfights is awesome. The movement around to start out teamfights on the flanks, also great. But at this point in the game, you're not really looking for that with the Realm Warp. Right now, it's all about trying to get yourself as many picks as possible. And right now, ThunderTalk, they're going to go back to what worked previously.
Again?
Although it only just worked in the previous
Hold on,
try.
guys. This is 4, not 5.
Yeah.
Can Flandre, is that the difference maker? Man, oh man, a lot of time to burn through this turret. You're lucky you've got a full tank Skarner. Flandre dies again, and they are farming Scion Gold as often as they can,
no,
but
SeTab.
on the other end of the map, it's Hope flying in. All he needed was one depth charge, and he's got himself his 6th kill in a row. That is a 17-0 scoreline for Hope right now across his 2 games today.
Hey, he's just popping off on one, and they're going to pick themselves up the mid lane tower as well. Another play out of ThunderTalk that works technically, but doesn't really get them anywhere. They're still bleeding out gold. They're still going to be down by 4,000 at this point in the game. And it just doesn't feel like they can actually get their way back into the game. Yeah, you can keep farming kills onto the Scion, but what you're losing across the rest of the map is not making it worth it.
And what a staple performance from Tarzan. I know we're highlighting Hope. He's got the flashy scoreline. He is very fed on another AD carry, but Tarzan on this Nefiri pick. Everyone was hoping to see this guy play this overpowered champion. And what has he done with it in this game? 10 of 11 kill participation, all over the map, constantly making the right moves. It is so hard to not see why this AL coaching staff labeled him the spirit, the engine that runs Anyone's Legend. And when it is revving on all cylinders, they look like a team that deserved to be in that grand finals, that can compete in the LPL and potentially on an international stage.
Absolutely, I think it would be a dang shame to not get to see these guys at MSI. But of course, there's a lot of LPL left to play. There's a lot left to play in just these placements to go. But still, going to be looking to get a little bit more pressure onto these towers. Hoya has been having a very bad game so far. And once again, he's not allowed to farm. He's on 100 CS.
This is once again shades of that Ultra Prime game where AL, they're daring the enemy team to try and fight them, or they'll just take all the resources off the map. Feather gets the memo. They're going all in for Kael. Good seismic shove, tons of damage. The Nautilus is down first. Flandre off to the side, trying to maybe find a pick onto 1xN as that very tanky Scion. But for the first time, we do see AL on a bit of a back foot here. Flandre, you making me eat my words, trying to set up the wolf back to fly on in, and just like that, with a snap of the fingers, Tarzan has his first kill. Hoya with the Hexing ultimatum gets absolutely no value, because here comes the dog, flying in once more. Bullet time being dropped through, Tarzan gonna have to flash over it. Beichuan's chasing him down, doesn't need the install in his back, but it's Hope to bail out his jungler. The dogs live, and it's Hope to bail out a narrow fight in the favor of Anyone's Legend.
Oh my lord. I cannot believe that Tarzan lives on that one. ThunderTalk, they saw it. They saw their moment. They saw what they needed to do. Pick up the kill. Finally, 1xN actually gets to ulti during one of these team fights.
First time this game, by the way.
Doesn't happen. Yes, literally the first time this game. And it doesn't work. And we'll have a look at why this doesn't work. This initial play right here out of ThunderTalk, I'm very happy with. You pick up this kill. At this point, in my head, I'm like, back away. Run. Please stop going in. You can walk up to your tier 2 tower in the mid lane right now and end this play up. That's a good play for you. Just getting a kill onto a support when you're this far behind is fine. Instead, they just keep on going in. Beichuan tries to make the most of it, and after Hoya jumps over the wall and brings everybody with him, this is the moment where I thought, maybe there's a chance, but it just doesn't last anywhere near long enough, and Beichuan doesn't do any damage. Hoya doesn't do any damage.
Oh, and there's no damage for Hoya to do. He is a victim of the pack. Tarzan has his 4th kill. He also got his team onto Hextech Soul Point as Bloxer was eloquently taking us through that very narrow team fight. But the reality of the situation is the gold the dragons, everything but the grubs is in control of anyone's legend. And ThunderTalk really need to find that perfect team fight angle to get back into this game. But the way AL is playing right now, I don't think there will ever be a window of...
No, it just doesn't seem like they're going to be able to get themselves back into this game. That's the thing with these kind of compositions, right? When it's ahead, so very strong looking, but it doesn't give you that much to try to play around later on. You don't have yourself a hyperscaling ADC to maybe try to play around. You don't have yourself a top laner who's going to get tankier and tankier and be able to buy more and more time and space for your key carries to be able to play out the game. The Camille's behind. I don't see a situation in which the Camille's going to get back ahead. 1xN has been allowed to ult once in this game, and that's what we were expecting, right? We joked about it, Grey Screen Simulator. 1xN hasn't died that much in this game, but just hasn't been allowed to play the game, and that's as good as dead for an ADC.
Yeah.
If you're not being able to sit and hit and do what you need to carry your team, well, unfortunately, it doesn't leave you with much recourse at all as ThunderTalk.
Passenger ADC is useless ADC, so that is the unfortunate reality for 1xN, and yeah, I'm glad you hit the point here, because the real sore spot for ThunderTalk, unfortunately, really just feels like Hoya. They are struggling to find any champion combination to get the most out of him. And it's such a stark difference compared to Split 1. But back to action here. It's Tarzan waiting to hunt in these brushes once more. Dashing in and out of all these fights. Goes untargetable over the seismic shovel. Love that from Tarzan. He's going to give the kill from Feather onto Hope. Hope goes legendary once more, and here comes the pack again. SeTab knocked off of his tidal wave of a wall to run through, and he's just run into the brick wall that is Flandre. Seismic smash down to find the kill onto SeTab, and all Hoya can do for ThunderTalk is maybe try and cut some waves down and do his best impression of the Great Escape, but AL don't care.
No, I mean, they can go chase through their jungle for him. I think they actually are going to. I think this is a mistake. There is no point here. Yeah, don't bother chasing this Camille. The Camille's not worth anything. The prize here is indeed Atakan, going to be picked up right here for AL. There's no response. You can see Beichuan is getting a Gromp as a consolation prize. What a sad consolation prize that is. 4-1-11 right now for Tarzan. Is just running these team fights. Hope yet to die today. And AL, they really are looking like one of the top teams in the LPL at the moment.
Back to form. A breath of fresh air for all the AL fans out there. Get the roses, the real prize with Ruinous Atakan. I mean, look at the level differences across the board. Hey! Pays to be this good sometimes. Even the observers throwing us the difference in XP, and I can spell it pretty easily. Everybody on AL is in front of everybody on ThunderTalk.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Feather's not falling that far behind. That's a good
I can do
one.
some analysis sometimes, you know, Bloxer.
Yeah.
I can
If you want my
go
job,
for your job.
I'll try shout about the game. I'm sure that will go well. To be fair, in these team fights, Nefiri goes in is the main call for me. Every single time, Tarzan goes flying into the backline. And I'm just... The more and more I see this new look Nefiri, the more I end up questioning why. Why we've given the Eviscerate an untargetable.
It's the craziest. It's so funny knowing that, like, Riot's really, like, pushing down. Oh, guys, we got to take away the cleanse from Yone, right? Like, come on. There's too much skill expression. And then on the flip side, like, but Nefiri, though.
Nefiri.
But Nefiri, though. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's so strong. It's
oh my God,
Hoya. They're
Hoya.
going to go in.
Okay, this is the power of the Camille and
Good
Talia.
ulti, there it is.
A huge bullet time. Finally, it all clicks for ThunderTalk. The first death for AL Hope maybe gives hope over to ThunderTalk.
Oh.
There's no Kaisa to compete with, so how much damage does anyone's legend really have in this fight? They're leaning so much on Tarzan, but you can't dive into 5 members. I don't care how strong the wolf pack is. ThunderTalk with the lifeline. The wombo hits to the tune of 3 kills.
There we go. This is the ThunderTalk that we were hoping to see in this matchup. The one that follows up on the slightest hint of a potential engage. And they're going to see what they can get off the back of this one. Going to pick themselves up this nice first tower into the mid lane. They've been unable to crack this one for so long. And they're going to pull back to get themselves a Drake right here. This is going to stop this from being Hextech Soul for AL. This game felt like it was all said and done. It's still an uphill battle for ThunderTalk. But what a way to try getting it back into it.
They bought time for Hoya's Camille. They've bought time for more items on this Talia. Tarzan doing what he can to find pressure points with that mid lane shove. But you pointed out, Bloxer, it's a lifeline. SeTab, though, does nearly not get that teleport off.
Oof,
So TT,
risky.
what value do they gain out of this time? That becomes the question, because
Yeah.
they are going to get forced out of this kind of turtle shell they've built, because Baron is up in 20 seconds. Let's watch the Wombo, though. Let's soak it in first, Bloxer. We get
because
the cinematic frame.
The engage, this is Hoya looking great, but it's that Impale
There we go,
right there.
Beichuan.
This is why you ban the Skarner, because the Impale is such a strong ability that just completely changes the landscape of that team fight. And then the fact that Flandre comes flying in to just donate over another kill, a little bit crazy. The only thing is, ThunderTalk, they didn't manage to actually catch onto Tarzan, as we were talking about, that he really just gives so much extra survivability over to the champion. There's a big shutdown right now sat on Tarzan. If ThunderTalk actually want to come back into this game, they're going to need to grab it.
How far can they really push, though? Great untargetable from Tarzan. Drifts in. Beichuan can't really find his mark. Here comes Flandre, drifting into the backside. SeTab having to flash over the big bramble smash.
No.
The 1xn bullet time gets 0 value this time round. You can see all the difference it makes in this fight. Here comes the dog.
Nice.
Great catch from Beichuan in the middle of the dash.
No way.
Untargetable. Not enough to save him this time. 1xn trying to turn as much damage as he can on this Misfortune, using the turret to protect him. But the Rune Prism gets the root down. It's Shanks to find the angle, but everything's just falling apart in this fight. Turret getting all the value for ThunderTalk, an MVP-like performance. And somehow we walk away from that even in kills, with only 2 standing on either side.
You know what? When you are as far ahead as AL are, even fights are losses. That's not what you should be having happen. You're up by so much gold at this point, or at least you were. Like you said, unfortunately for 1xn, this ulti just goes completely wide. But luckily, after that previous teamfight, Beichuan and Feather had both been able to get themselves just a couple more components, getting themselves a little bit tankier, and they're actually able to stand up for a lot longer. Feather does fall eventually, but he's bought enough time for 1xn and SeTab to be able to back off, and this is another wonderful Impale. Again, we are really getting a good showing of why you should be banning the Skarner in your games.
It's even matching up into that Nefiri. Hope. I love the aggressiveness. It's why we love watching Kai'Sas in the LPL, but ramping turret damage is a hell of a drug. We don't have too much time to break down exactly what that last fight was, because we're going back to the same exact dance around this Baron pit. Can ThunderTalk get enough space in these wave states to even try and get vision down? Because boy, is it dark in that river.
Really is. They at least know that the Baron isn't currently being hit, but there's always the threat of it from AL, and without anybody feeling comfortable to step up, where do you go? Beichuan gets chunked.
Oh boy, there's the bullet time, gets cancelled. Flandre's right in front. Kael doesn't fall just yet. Beichuan trying to hold the front line, but it's breaking at the seams. The floodgates are coming through, and it's Hope that's looking to do it alongside the trusting pal, the man's best friend, the dog known as Tarzan. Hunted down Hoya. Down falls the TT top laner, and TT have to crawl back to their tortoise shell, hurting and bruised.
Yeah, you need to be getting these ultis off as 1xn in combination with the Impale, or at least a seismic shove. It's just not happening at this point, and this is going to be the Baron started up right now. There are still 3 members available. The damage dealers are still here for ThunderTalk.
It's burning. It's Feather that's going to try and fly in, but SeTab, and when I say they can't get close enough, Feather's trying to be a nuisance, but it's Tarzan, the spirit, the engine of AL, to sink it home behind a Shanks double kill. What a performance from anyone's legend. It may have gotten murky, but that Baron might have just put the dagger in the hearts of TT.
Yeah, double TP is going to be coming through into the bottom lane right now. AL, they are using this Baron to end. That's what they want to do. Beichuan is just going to be able to get over the wall right here. Jumped over with Tarzan, actually. Tarzan not going to be able to pick up the kill onto the Skarner right now, but it's still just going to be chasing him back underneath his Nexus towers. As these... Yeah, they're just falling. I mean, look, they're going to lose out onto this inhibitor. Flandre could just tank the tower. He doesn't care.
Here we go. Another dive forward for Tarzan. Reset City. The pack is hunting for blood. And Hoya nearly falls, but that should put the polishing, finishing touches on it. AL looking to lock up the top spot, a spot in Group Ascend, and they're going to knock ThunderTalk again once more to do it. The health bars are getting close, but Flandre is just going to hit this Nexus. Right. It doesn't even matter if the Scion dies.
Can they kill him?
If they kill him, it's still going to fall. I don't believe. I don't believe. I believe in Flandre. Tanks are balanced, everybody. Come on, Flandre. Oh my God, they're really not letting him get to this Nexus turret. How often does Seismic Shove come up? They're throwing the wall up. Flandre doesn't care. He wants the Nexus. Oh my God. He's inches away from the win, but TT won't budge. Somebody let the Scion pass through, please. Oh my God, he's got another shield up. How many more autos? Oh no, Beichuan's back. Dude, this isn't the end. Flandre, can he do it? All right, passive.
Wait,
no, it's not down again. No, it's not over. Oh my God. Oh man, that was like 15 seconds of Flandre getting hit by 3 people, and it still nearly didn't matter.
Oh, my stomach actually hurts from laughing. Oh my Lord. I mean, the game's not over, technically.
It's over, though. It really is
the most over a game with a Nexus still standing has ever been. You know how funny that was, right? ThunderTalk are losing, and they're laughing. Like, they're also all sat there giggling about this one. Oh.
There are people on LPL English right now that I didn't know were awake and watching that got in our communication chat to show their their laughter for that last play. I mean, that is one for the all time. Right, I
think that might be the single funniest thing I've ever watched, because it just keeps going, and you're like, wait, surely he gets it, right? Surely he gets it. I've never seen a headbutt happen so often.
Or a seismic shove, like the Weaver's wall up. All right. Here we go. Flandre,
he's going again.
Here's how you do it.
Go.
You just realm warp behind ThunderTalk. Of course, that's how it ends. It's with a realm warp. Oh, dude, it's 1 auto again. All right, it's over. Anyone's legend. Top of Group B, on to Group Ascend they go. And they did it in the most hilarious fashion possible.
Oh, man. I respect ThunderTalk for trying so hard to stop that game from ending, because with the Realm Warp and with the Side ulti, it was done. Like we said, it was done. They went and got themselves Soul. It's now going to show that they got themselves Hextech Soul on the sheet, and they'll be like, oh, that was nice. Look at that. Single funniest thing I've ever witnessed. Congratulations, though, to AL. We shouldn't allow how funny that was to take away from how dominant of a win it was overall.
Yeah, I mean, if the Wombo doesn't come through for Beichuan in that one dragon fight, it's about as flawless as a win as it comes. So ThunderTalk still going to have to try and compete to avoid the qualifiers or any sort of crazy tiebreaker for Group Nirvana. But yeah, the prevailing thought here, Bloxer, how convinced are you that AL have shaken off the rust you dawned on them from the first time round in Group B?
Unless RNG are the AL Slayers, unless they are their actual kryptonite and we see them win again, which would be very surprised to see, I think AL feel like they're kind of back, right? They needed to shake off the rust a little bit. I think they needed to be humbled up against RNG in that matchup that they had in the first round. My only worry for them is that they have still been drafting pretty weird, and I don't know how much that works versus the top tier teams. It works versus ThunderTalk, you know, it works versus Ultra Prime. Does it work versus a BLG or a top esports? I'm not so sure about that one specifically, but at least for this group stage, it's good enough, and getting yourself into Group Ascent is the beginning, right? That's the point for these top tier teams. Some teams are going to be clawing for Group Ascent, and once they get it, wonderful. Now, for AL and those other top teams, this is just the beginning of what is their actual split, and so I don't mind them trying things out, feeling out the meta a little bit at this point.
I just love that Flandre got his one Vladimir game after the first time round, and then they lost, and AL coaches are like, put the shoulder on his hand on his shoulder. He's like, hey man, what do you think about Scion? He's played 2 Scion games. It's just the most like turn brain off gameplay ever. So
other than when you're fighting to hit a Nexus, apparently.
Yeah. Do you think that's the... All right, here's a question for everybody out there. Is that the hardest a Scion player has ever had to focus in their life?
Yes. I think that's also the most fun anybody's ever had playing Scion. Even though you don't get the Nexus there, you're still just cackling the whole time. Like, please, it's so close. Please.
Can we give MVP to to not the Alistair or the Talia, just the abilities. Can I give Headbutt Pulverize the MVP in this game?
Yeah. Headbutt is just apparently the best ability you could possibly have asked for. I mean, it's so funny what just happened that it's broken my brain for what was a genuinely brilliant AL performance. They had one team fight where it actually goes wrong for them, where they were getting a little bit over aggressive, but by that point they'd got themselves such a big lead that it really didn't end up mattering in the end. And as much as I want to keep talking about, hey, AL were awesome, I've got some more questions for ThunderTalk, right?
Yeah, let's focus the shift.
First game was awesome, right? But RNG don't look like they're a particularly strong squad at the moment, other than their random win up against AL. This group really is crazy. In this one, they showed that willingness to go in like they needed to, but it felt like the composition just didn't work. Specifically, Hoya on the Camille.
Yeah. I mean, you do not win games in League of Legends when you counterpick top Camille into Scion and you lose. You will not win. You won't win solo queue games at home. You won't win whatever draft league you like to play with your friends. You're not winning on the LPL stage either. So I think Hoya, I understand why people were talking about, you know, how much side lane really helped Hoya. And TT really have to go back to the drawing board to find some of those fixes, because, I mean, we'll talk about it a bit before we get out of here. Bloxer, and I'm sure our next two awesome casters will break it down, but every place outside of first place now is an absolute dogfight. But right now, let's once again soak in the Anyone's Legends dominance here. 4-1. Oh, where do you go with MVP? Is it Tarzan, I think, this time?
I feel like Tarzan picking it up would make a lot of sense.
Okay.
Hope was having another baller of a game, but he did die, and apparently that's the standard to which we hold Hope, is deathless games with quadra kills in.
On a melee range AD carry as if you die.
On a melee range AD carry, exactly. No, I just think that as much as we have been seeing this Nefariat a lot, as much as it does have a lot of really good things about it, it is also quite tricky to play out. You have to make it work in the early stages of the game, and we got to see exactly that. The early kills were going over to Tarzan. He was constantly jumping forwards. He was making this champion look like it was rift walking around, just not able to be caught at any one point, using that E to great effect to just not get caught, not die. This one specifically that we're watching right now, he should have died by all rights. Look how close he is to dying in this one after getting caught with the Impale. But the Neferi just so annoying to try to kill. So much healing. That's one auto attack, genuinely one auto attack away from death. So I would personally give it to Tarzan right here. At the same time, AL, it was a very complete team game.
Outside of this one fight, right, where the Impale came together with the bullet time. But everything outside of that was polished. Flandre on a full tank is very, very impressive to me, showing his champion flexibility. We've talked a lot on the unofficial LPL English broadcast about his champion pool diversity. Good to see him get on the Scion game, perform well. A lot of things are clicking for AL right now. The only name that kind of fell silent, not for a bad reason, was Shanks, but this Rise was valuable. The Realm Orbs were there. He scaled up to infinity. All right. Bloxer, before you make the next point, I want to see if I can play a fun game. Right. Let's time once we see Flandre start hitting Nexus and how long it takes for him to die. Okay, let's play a fun game. We're gonna watch.
I like this. I really hope they play the
Okay,
whole
he's
thing.
hitting it. Oh, I missed it.
Yeah.
All right, he's hitting it.
Right.
Let's see how long, everybody.
Here a while. We are gonna be here a while.
He's still hitting it right there. By the way, he's down there. He's hitting the Nexus while his entire team is dying.
He's not doing anything but hitting
Oh,
it. Boo.
Man.
I am going to time this out as soon as we're off. I'm going to time this one out. You can see right here, though, he needed revenge on the Nexus tower. Comes flying in. I think he does get... No, he doesn't quite get the last auto off. It would have been very poetic if he'd have gotten the last auto off onto that Nexus.
Yeah.
It just survived for so long.
I can't blame the LPL for not highlighting that, because
it would have been a full
It would have
minute.
taken like 40. It would have been like, full minute, 45 seconds was my bet. So, you know what? I'm sure the clip will be on Twitter. I'm sure the clip will be on Twitter. Bloxer, you can add him on socials to see if he can get the official time for you.
I'm going to time it. The second this is done,
I'm holding to
this will be timed. Because it's such a funny way to play out a fight. And it kind of, in my mind, and I think... Oh, hang on.
MVP?
The MVP.
Player of the game. Ah!
Yeah.
All right. I mean,
Deserved.
the Scion was like an immovable rock, right? And you start to ask how much space does the Nefiri get, the Kaisa get, if you don't have a 7,000 HP tank Scion. So Flandre, you got the highlight of the LPL split so far, and you also earned the player of the game. Can't hate it.
Oh no, I'm very happy with that one. There was only one questionable decision where he goes and ults in after his team had already all died, but it was, other than that, a very good Scion game, buying so much space. Like we've been saying, once you can buy your ADC, your mid laners, just enough time to do what they need to, something ThunderTalk were not able to do, it makes games so much easier. As much as it is sad to see a player of his caliber being sat with Scion duty, boy is he making the most of it.
Boy is he indeed. The AL making the most of their slate to start here. Our first through 3 games are done, with AL grabbing their spot in Group Ascend, but 2 through 4 are still very much up for grabs with 3 teams, and I have seen that our casters are very prepared for every single tiebreaker this group could potentially throw your way. So make sure to give some love as myself and Bloxer do step down for the first 3 games. It was an absolute hilarious bout of fun with you, Bloxer. A bow to end with the Scion. But we're going to throw to a short break. Make sure to give some love to Grapes and Trouble as they step in here. Make sure to give Grapes a bit of a good morning as the American resident on this one. We'll see you guys again when we see you. Enjoy Ultra Prime taking on RNG in the next game here to close out Group B.